Good morning. Welcome to the forecast discussion for June 12th, 2012. It is currently 7:40 a.m. and it's rather overcast throughout much of the northern mid-Atlantic. We do have some fog over southern Connecticut that's reducing visibility to below a mile in some locations. But the main story here right now is overcast skies and rather mild conditions with temperatures ranging in the mid 60s to even a few lower 70s throughout the entire northern mid-Atlantic. Of course, your warmest conditions are in the Philadelphia metropolitan area. So what can we expect for today? Well, rain, and more rain as a cold front approaches from the west, but it's a little bit more complicated than that, and I'll explain why in just a moment. But as you can see here, temperatures are already in the mid 60s to lower 70s. I'm expecting highs anywhere from the lower to mid 70s, so we really won't see much of a rise in the temperatures as winds continue to come right off of the Atlantic, importing a marine air mass into the New York City and Philadelphia metropolitan area. And with the rain coming in, temperatures aren't going to move all that much. So what you see is what you get this morning on through this afternoon. Take a look at the radar. You can see rainfall is approaching. It's actually moving into much of eastern Pennsylvania already. And this rainfall will extend and spread throughout much of the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area for the rest of this morning into the afternoon and evening hours as a cold front over the Ohio River Valley moves through the region tonight. So let's take a look at the water vapor satellite picture because I want to bring up a few interesting points here. Now remember yesterday we had that backdoor cold front. Well, that backdoor cold front has pretty much collapsed and fallen apart. But the mechanisms that supported that backdoor cold front are still in place. What am I talking about? Here's our upper level low over the northern Atlantic that keeps our northwesterly flow in place, especially over portions of New England. And why is that important? Well, that leads to convergence over the Gulf of Maine, which keeps a high pressure in place, which is producing easterly winds. The problem with that is that we have a cold front approaching, and that has southwesterly winds ahead of it. And those southwesterly winds are transporting what's called a tropical continental air mass, which basically means the air mass is coming from the Gulf of Mexico with plenty of moisture. So you have moisture coming in from the Atlantic, moisture coming in from the Gulf of Mexico, and it's all converging over the northern mid-Atlantic. Combine that with a cold front that is approaching from the Ohio River Valley with dry air, and what you have is a perfect mechanism for a lot of convergence, a lot of moisture convergence over the northern mid-Atlantic, and a above normal amount of lifting. And all of that leads to moderate to heavy rainfall for this afternoon and evening. Now, going back to the radar again, the radar does not look all that impressive. I mean, you got a lot of scattered showers here, and that's to be expected because we haven't enhanced the lifting yet. It hasn't interacted with that marine air mass. This moisture has not interacted with the marine air mass along the coast, and also we haven't seen the cold front interact with both of those air masses along the coast. So we're setting up a lot of lifting along the immediate coast, especially over southern Connecticut, Long Island, and coastal New Jersey. So as you move towards the coast, expect periods of heavy rain to increase in frequency as that lifting increases. So pretty much you can see exactly how that's evolving on the water vapor satellite picture, where all this moisture is converging, being squeezed into one area, and then the cold front moves through for tonight with periods of moderate heavy rainfall. So expect those showers to increase in coverage, expect heavy downpours. The good news is that this type of air mass is very stable, and that means that the threat for strong to severe thunderstorms is extremely low. I can't rule out an isolated thunderstorm with heavy downpours and some occasional thunder, but I do not expect any severe weather at all in this setup, aside from heavy rainfall leading to localized flash flooding. So let's take a look at the model guidance. We're using the GFS model guidance again because the models are pretty much in strong agreement through the next 7 days, and the GFS model guidance on the Penn State EWOL website gives me a little bit more in the way of description capability. So here we are for this afternoon. Rainfall is expanding over eastern Pennsylvania. I think we're going to see a little bit more rainfall this afternoon over the New York City and Philadelphia metropolitan area than what the GFS is showing based on what we're seeing on the radar this morning. For this evening, that heavy rainfall spreads throughout the northern mid-Atlantic. It will be heavy at times. The heavy rain continues on through the overnight periods as the cold front moves through. The cold front will clear the coast by tomorrow morning. Expect the steady rainfall to end from west to east, with the best potential for steady rainfall during the morning rush hour tomorrow over portions of Connecticut and Long Island, possibly even the immediate New Jersey coast, with clearing skies and more isolated shower threat as you move from west to east. By the afternoon tomorrow, most locations will dry out. Again, still can't rule out an isolated shower, but for the most part, as the cold front moves further to the east, the rainfall potential will shift up into New England, and much of the New York City and Philadelphia metropolitan area will clear out. Heading on through the rest of the week, high pressure is pretty much going to be in control. Now, we're going to have to keep an eye on a few disturbances right along the coast, potentially producing an isolated shower. But I stress the word isolated here. I think most locations will remain dry, and that high pressure system remains in control all the way on through this weekend and into early next week, Monday. Now, as far as temperatures throughout this entire forecast period, basically we're looking at temperatures in the upper 50s to mid 60s for lows. If you have fog in the morning, expect temperatures to be in the mid 60s with overcast conditions and very dense fog below a mile in some locations in this type of setup. Temperatures in the meantime will range from the upper 50s, the upper 70s to lower 80s for most locations, mid to upper 70s at times along the immediate coast, especially if you get a little bit of a sea breeze. For the most part, we're looking at temperatures near normal. Now, as we move into the start of next week and into the middle part of next week, we're going to be under more of an influence of a southwesterly flow, and that means that humidity is going to start to increase once again for next week, and potentially we have to keep an eye on this because again we're going to be dealing with the potential for these troughs over the northern Atlantic throwing a monkey wrench into a major warm up. But the latest model, guys, is suggesting that temperatures will rebound once again into the mid 80s to lower 90s for the middle part of next week. Something to keep an eye on as we move on through the forecast. I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. You can follow the latest weather information at nynjpaweather.com and nynjpaweather on Twitter and Facebook. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there.